My daddy bought me a bull, a little bull calf when I was about 9 or 10. He bought me a bull. I guess the bull didn't weigh but 50 or 60 pounds. And he said, "Okay, son," said, "this is your bull." So I named him Sampson. And, you have to ring them. In other words, you got to put a ring in their nose because bulls are stubborn, and when you want them to move around and they won't move, you just grab that ring in their nose and move them around. And I tackled old Sampson, got him down and hog-tied him, and, I kept poking, and I finally got that ring in Sampson's nose, and Sampson turned around and give me a look at the nose bleeding and like, "I'm going to get you, sucker." Anyway, we didn't know how big Sampson was going to get, and he stayed in the pasture, and our pasture was probably 50 acres. By God, and I couldn't go in that pasture or the barn without Sampson chasing me. And he kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And me and Sampson fought all over that holler. Every time I would come around him, he would chase me. I guess he never forgave me for putting that ring in his nose. And Daddy had to handle him all the time. One day, Daddy made me a slingshot, and I was practicing with it, and old Sampson was leaned up against the fence one day, and I was about 10 yards from him. And I got pretty proficient with that slingshot. And by that time, he was about 1,200 pounds of mean bull. And he was especially mean to me. I was scared to death of him. So anyway, I grabbed me an acorn nut. It was about all big around a 50-cent piece. And old Sampson's nutsack was hanging down. It was big as a softball. And I drawed back with that slingshot and hit him in the nuts. And he just started quivering and fell over. I thought I'd killed him. He hit the ground, and the ground almost shook. So I went running to the house, and Daddy come home from the coal mines that night and said, "Where's Sampson?" Oh, I said, "I guess he's up in the pasture." I wasn't about to tell Daddy. The next day, Daddy says, "Go find Sampson." I said, "Oh, I got to go up there and find Sampson dead." So I go up there, and lo and behold, Sampson wasn't laying there. And I saw where the fence had been torn down. So I went up to the head of the holler looking for Sampson at Castle Cave, and there stood Sampson. And as soon as Sampson saw me, here comes Sampson right after me. I was about 50 yards ahead of him. I took off like a scalded dog down to the mouth of that holler, headed toward the barn. I figured I could get in the barn, get in the hayloft, and I could get away from him. So I come a-running, and Daddy was down at the chicken house at the time, and he saw me, big, old, long, lanky guy, run right by him like a blue streak. And here comes Sampson, right behind me, chasing me wide open. And if he'd have caught me, he'd have killed me. So I run up to the barn, and I start to slam the doors together. And as I put the doors together, they bust open, and I barely make it up in the hayloft. And then here come Daddy. Daddy hollered, "You okay, son?" I said, "Yeah, Daddy, I'm all right, but I guess Sampson went crazy. I don't know what's wrong with Sampson." Daddy calls Uncle Cecil. Uncle Cecil comes up from the mouth of the holler where he lived and comes up there, and they put a rope around his ring in his nose and tried to pull him out. Oh, they couldn't pull him out with their hands, and they tied an old Gravely tractor up to him, and he bucked up on Daddy. Oh, and that bull done went loco. That bull was trying to kill everybody, and the bull went crazy, started slobbering, throwing his head everywhere. Oh, and poor old Sampson. Oh, my uncle had to kill him. He shot him in the head. And it was all my fault. I got nightmares to this day.